Dean Legge, Dylan Webber, another edition of Riding Home. Georgia getting ready for Tennessee, the biannual trip to Knoxville. Georgia will play there Saturday night, 7 o'clock. One thing struck me today that I was watching Jeremy Pruitt. He said, and I wrote about this, Dylan, that this was as good as he's seen Georgia this early in the season. And Jeremy was with Alabama as a quality control guy from 2007 to 2000. Maybe 11 or so, and then he became a defensive backs coach. So he dates back about 12 years. I think he's probably right. I think this is as good as they've looked early in a long time. Now, I know you only have so much history with Georgia, so you can't recall everything. But don't you think they look better than they did in 2017, 4 games into it?
I would definitely say 2017. I need to think about it a little more, just about those early games. They definitely look better than they did early on in 2018. And I would think
say that one more time. I couldn't hear you. Say that one more time. I couldn't hear you on that.
They definitely look better right now early in the season than they did early in the season in 2018. I don't think many people would argue that.
Well, I thought they looked really good the first 3 games of 2018, and then they went to Missouri, and it just didn't look good.
Well, and I mean that's part of the early season. That Missouri game was rough for them.
Offensively, they played terrible. They just didn't look good.
No, remember that they won that game by 14.
That's
and
right.
Had 2 non-offensive touchdowns.
That's right. I
mean, and that's a part of the game, but when you're relying on those against a team like Missouri, that's rough. The way they got ran on.
Yeah, that's when he knew they had some issues. They're not getting run on like that right now, and that might be what Jeremy's kind of point is. I think if you want to make the case for the 2012 team, offensively, I think they probably played better in 2012 than they have this year. They scored a pile of points this year, but that game at Missouri in 2012, that was a real gut check moment. I know they were losing in the third quarter. I don't think they were losing in the fourth, but it was tight. And it was a game I knew they were the better team the whole time, but they certainly had a hard time in that game. I mean, Missouri had come to play, and Aaron and them got behind. I feel like they had to score a 2-point conversion. Yeah, late. So Aaron threw an 11-yard touchdown to Marlon Brown to take the lead once and for all with 51 seconds left in the third quarter. In that game, got a 2-point conversion, and then Georgia outscored Missouri from that point forward. They scored, quick math here, how many points is that? A lot. They scored 17 points in a row, plus that one, so that would be 24 points in a row on Missouri to win that game 41-20, and you could tell they were a good team. This team has allowed 1 rushing touchdown, right? No, is that right?
What was the one? I'm trying to think.
I'm not sure now that I think about it. I mean, they allowed the touchdown.
Have they allowed a rushing touchdown?
They might not have. I think. Well, now you see, you're going to make me look it up. But the point I think is, as I look that up, that for the Dogs, I don't think they've allowed a rushing touchdown, man. It would have to have been to Murray State if they did, because Notre Dame scored a touchdown passing in the first quarter. I'm trying to think of how they scored that other one. And Murray State scored on a long touchdown pass.
And a pick six.
Correct. So the Georgia defense has allowed no rushing touchdowns this season, 2 passing touchdowns. My math could be a little bit off on that. Notre Dame scored twice. I can't recall the 2 times that Notre Dame scored exactly. But I know one was that goofball fourth down pass from Ian Book, which was a bizarre play. They scored on a 1-yard pass and a 4-yard pass. So those are the scores that Georgia's given up. Then they gave up that long ball from Murray State where a kid broke free, but
Pick six.
they're not
Yeah.
even allowing 60 yards a game on the ground. I mean, when you look at what Alabama traditionally does, that's what you're looking at. You're watching Alabama play. That's the way that Alabama has typically played. Has been just brutal for the opposition, and I think that's the thing for Georgia. I mean, the 2012 defense took a long time to get rolling, but they finally did late in the year. With the 2019 defense, these guys are about as good as we've seen, and maybe that's what. I mean, I'm not expecting Tennessee to score a touchdown on Saturday. Is that naive?
I don't know. I mean, well, they didn't last time. They didn't even get a point up last time, so I wouldn't say it's naive. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine any situation in which Tennessee scores a touchdown just because the difference of skill.
Maybe we're being ridiculous. I mean, Tennessee has scored in 3 of their games. Excuse me, 2 of their 4 games. They've scored 30 points or more, and then obviously against Florida they just kicked a field goal.
Okay, well, what's more of a?
I think the over/under for Tennessee in this game, scoring wise, is probably like 10 or 11 points.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're saying that kind of maybe we're being a little harsh on,
I think we're being a little nuts. Sure.
Okay, well, what's a little crazier? Saying that Tennessee won't score a touchdown, or Kirby calling Tennessee a dangerous team?
I think him calling them a dangerous team is completely uncalled for. I mean, that's just not living in reality at all. And he knows it. He's just trying to get his team's attention.
He didn't follow it up and said every team in college football is dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Yeah, that's about all you can say. It's just like, okay.
I mean, I don't, because coaches get so sensitive about stuff. I mean, I don't really have a statement about that. It's just, I don't know, Dylan. I don't know. I saw that. I was like, come on, man. The truth. Kirby tells the truth after games a lot. I mean,
I agree. Yeah.
He doesn't really sugarcoat it after the game so much. I mean, like after Murray State or Arkansas State, he said, hey, with the level of foe that we were paying, I think he said the same thing. I think he may have said the same thing about Vanderbilt, but he definitely said that about Murray and Arkansas State. And he's right.
Yeah, I mean, I like post-game Kirby quite a bit because, like you said, he's very truthful. Because I don't know, he doesn't like talking about what's going to happen. He doesn't want people talking about that just because he doesn't. I don't know what it is, but yeah, he likes talking about what has happened or is okay with it at least.
Well, I mean, I just it is Tennessee, and that's one thing that's hard for folks, I think, to not. How do you say this? If you lived through the 90s, not taking Tennessee seriously, you're doing so at your own peril. I mean, that's not a smart decision, I wouldn't say. And I don't know.
But I guess not taking Tennessee seriously in this context, though, now is like, okay, is Georgia going to beat them by 28 points? And it's like, no, let's take Tennessee seriously. Georgia will only beat them by 20.
Well, the line is 25. I mean, it moved up pretty aggressively from 22 to 25 quickly. And, that's not – I mean, this is the second largest spread, I think, in Tennessee history in Neyland. I would have to go back and look at every single line from, 1990 or whatever on. But Alabama last year was favored by more at Neyland. But this is the second largest line essentially in Tennessee history in Knoxville that they are underdogs. I mean, this is if they're going to spring an upset at home. First of all, can we just talk about how ridiculous it is that Tennessee is a 25-point dog to anyone at home?
At home.
I mean,
man, it's just sad.
That just can't happen, man.
Imagine at this point, he's saying, okay, in 20 years, Georgia will be a 25-point underdog. in Sanford Stadium to Tennessee. Imagine saying
No.
imagining that. That's just.
I mean, people would freak out, man. People at Georgia
Yeah.
would freak out pretty hard on that deal. If that was the situation, people would freak out pretty hard on that one. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, that's something that's just not acceptable. It just isn't. You can't be that bad, and I understand, that I understand that these guys have worked together. I mean, Jeremy has worked for Kirby before, and as a defensive backs coach, and Kirby being the defensive coordinator at Alabama. But so they know one another. There's got to be respect there. I mean, Jeremy, for all of his rough edges, and there are plenty of rough edges. There are a lot of people that do like him in the coaching world, I think, and but there's a lot, man, too. There's a lot of coaches who were at Georgia that worked for Kirby who left and now work for Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, some of that's because Rocker was dismissed. Shearer moved up from linebackers to defensive coordinator. I mean, you got Jim Chaney. Who I mean, I don't think he was dismissed, but his contract was up, and that was it for that. You're looking at this spread, by the way, and Las Vegas thinks essentially that this game will be 38-14. That's what they think it will be about. The line is 52. Georgia's a 25-point favorite, so your predictive score is somewhere around 38.5 to 14.5, something like that.
I think Tennessee would have, or I think Georgia would have a harder time getting to that. I don't know. I feel like it'd be lower scoring, honestly.
Oh, I don't.
I think Tennessee's gonna struggle getting to 14. 2 touchdowns at least.
Yeah, it's 2 touchdowns. I mean, listen. I mean, Tennessee, they've scored some. I mean, when you look at scoring 30 points against Georgia State, they've only played one legitimate team, and that's Florida. I mean, you want to call BYU a legitimate team? I mean, I will give you that BYU is. So let's just say they played 2 legitimate teams. They were favored in 3 of those games. They're 1-3, and the Tennessee UTC game, they really ran up the score and performed offensively, but they've struggled to get past the magic. It used to be the magic number in college football was 20. But the SEC has changed. Now it seems much more like it's 30. And they've only scored over 30 once this season, and that was against UTC. I mean, they scored 30 against Georgia State, 26 against BYU in an overtime game, and 45 against UTC, which is a 1AA school, and then they managed a field goal against the Gators. I mean, they were a lot of my feeling about Notre Dame was based on their game with Clemson last year. A lot of my feeling on Tennessee is watching them play Florida last year or this past couple of weeks ago. They just couldn't do anything, Dylan. It was bad.
Well, it depends how Chaney comes out and tries to attack Georgia here. I mean, if he tries to run the ball on Georgia, I mean, shit's going to go south for them really quick.
Yeah.
I think you got to take the Notre Dame and the Arkansas State model and just get quick passes out. I mean, that was really effective for especially Notre Dame.
Yes.
Georgia had a hard time stopping that, but Notre Dame couldn't really run the ball on Georgia.
They couldn't. But the extra. I mean, part of the problem here for the Vols is you don't necessarily know who the quarterback really will be. I mean, it looks like it's going to be Garantano, but there's no guarantee of that. The other kid has come in and played a fair amount too. But like looking at what they did with the Gators, I mean, they only had 88 yards rushing, man. They had 88 yards rushing.
That was against Florida, who has, a decent run D. I mean, not on the same level as Georgia.
No, it's not on the same level as Georgia. And that game was in, Gainesville and all this stuff, and I don't, you don't want to overreact to any one thing, but Georgia's allowing 57 yards a game on the ground. Florida's allowing 86. So, that's noticeably better actually than Florida, but it's in the same universe. I mean, Tennessee's not going to run up against anybody else unless they play Auburn, who they do not play. They do not play LSU. They do not play Clemson. They do not play Ole Miss. They do not play A&M. Those are all legit programs in the top 50. I mean, Alabama is number 49. They're allowing 134 yards on the ground, man. That's just not working. That's not going to work. So this is a multi-year thing for Jeremy. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They are going to have to figure out how to win some ball games here. And if they can stun Georgia on Saturday, that would go a long way for him. But there just is nothing. I mean, dude, they're 1-3. They got the Dogs, and I think they have one more off week, but they got the Dogs. Then they got Mississippi State, at home. Now that's kind of a must win, but they're going to be underdogs in that game. Then they play at Alabama.
Yeah.
They play at Alabama. They got South Carolina at home, a game that they could win.
We could win, though.
They're probably gonna be underdogs. UAB, which if you've lost to Georgia State, there's no certainty you beat UAB. They got to play at Kentucky, at Missouri, and close with Vanderbilt. Now, you could see a scenario having watched Kentucky play. Kentucky is not good on offense. They were pretty rough. But you could see a scenario where, the last 4 games are really critical for not just to get to a bowl game for Jeremy, but maybe for how long this lasts at Tennessee. I mean, don't underestimate how bad a loss to Georgia State is for.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to say they got killed, but I mean they lost pretty handily.
It was bad.
It wasn't a game at the end.
That's why I just don't think they can match up with Georgia. All right, thanks for listening to Riding Home, Dean Legge and Dylan Webber. We will catch up with y'all tomorrow. Go to the Dog Post website, DAWGPOST, and subscribe on YouTube right now.